What is going on, everyone? Hello and welcome back to Brain Gainz, the show that is normally brought to you live from the Bodybuilding.com headquarters. My name is Tyler, and it's great to have you. Welcome back to my office upstairs. As you can see, we are still not in headquarters, and we are working as hard as we can to get back in. We will keep you up to date on when we will be back, because I know you guys love those nice 4K cameras with the lights and the angles. But you are stuck with me here upstairs, so thank you for joining me. Today is a good day. Today we are celebrating National Hydration Day, so I hope you will bear with me just a little bit along as we do kind of a special thing today. I am celebrating National Hydration Day with a gallon of water, and I think you can do it along with me. So today, we're actually not talking about hydration today. I made the mistake in scheduling of putting hydration and amino acids last week. So if you want to learn a lot about amino acids or branch chains or essential amino acids, our last episode, if you go into our YouTube playlist and see our last, it's all about branch chains and hydration. We're going to touch on it a bit today, but it was much more focused on last week. Today, we're actually going to be talking about muscle building. So building muscle, what kinds of muscle you have, how to focus your training on building that muscle. And then in the end, we're going to talk a little bit about supplements and how those affect that as well. But in order to celebrate Hydration Day effectively, I have this giant gallon of water that I'm going to drink from every time we say the word muscle. Now, I know that the slurping and gulping of water may get annoying, but trust me when I say that it is worth celebrating and recognizing the importance of hydration. So, if you want to come along with me on this journey, every time I say the word muscle, I'm going to take a drink of water. Now, if you hear me say that word, the buzzword, and I don't drink water, make sure you spam it in chat, and my moderator will absolutely make sure that it hits my screen so I don't miss a beat here. But until then, come along with me on this journey, and I think it's going to be a good time. So today, as usual, my name is Tyler McGlasson. I work at the Bodybuilding.com regulatory team. It's my job to make sure that all of our products and product pages on site fall within the regulatory scheme of the FDA and the FTC. If you guys have questions about what the rules are, what the laws are, what the regulations say about our industry, please feel free to ask, because I could talk ad nauseum about those sort of things, but we're talking about muscles today. So, today we're talking about building strength, building muscle size. What better way to do that than talking about the different types of fibers that your body has? And you may hear me bounce around the buzzword more than once just so I can try and get out a complete thought before taking a drink. So, your body has many different types of muscle fibers. Those different fibers include type 1, type 2A, and type 2B. Now, type 1 fibers are called slow twitch oxidative fibers. Type 2A are called fast twitch oxidative fibers. And type 2Bs are called fast twitch glycolytic fibers. Now let's go over what all that means. So when I say slow twitch oxidative, I'm saying a couple of different things all at once. So type 1 fibers are the muscles that are most active. Close one. Most active during endurance exercise. So they are called slow twitch oxidative because they focus on the oxidative forms of energy production, in that they use oxygen for oxidative phosphorylation, which is the process that takes place after glycolytic action, after the Krebs cycle, and in the membrane of the mitochondria, that uses oxygen and the electron transport chain to generate massive amounts of ATP per single molecule of sugar. And this is all well and good, but you need to have plenty of oxygen in order to make use of these most effectively. So you see endurance runners, long distance swimmers, triathletes, anyone who's doing exercise for a long period of time, they have mostly developed type 1 fibers. Okay, I'm watching questions as we go through, so bear with me. Type 2A are fast twitch oxidative. Fast twitch oxidative. So now we're looking at the difference between slow twitch oxidative, type 1, and fast twitch oxidative, which are type 2A. Now, when I say slow twitch versus fast twitch, this is actually a designation for the time between when a muscle gets stimulated by a nerve and when it reaches its peak force power. Now, when you are a slow twitch muscle, it takes about 100 milliseconds for you to reach peak power from the time that it's stimulated by a nerve. If you are a type 2A, it is a fast twitch, but it's not as fast as the type 2B. So you can think of type 1 over here, type 2A in the middle, and type 2B on the other end of the spectrum. So if it takes 100 milliseconds to reach peak power for a slow twitch, it actually only takes 25 milliseconds for a fast twitch. So you can get peak power on those type 2Bs much faster than the type 1s. So type 2As are called fast twitch oxidative because they reach their peak power in about half the time, about 50 milliseconds, but they're oxidative, so they are still using oxygen most effectively to generate most of their power through oxidative phosphorylation. Now, finally, type 2B. These are the muscles that we're probably going to be talking about the most today because they are the most focused on. Oh, did I miss one? I'm sorry again. My bad. So, type 2B, these are the most focused on generating power for short periods of time. Now, remember, we called type 2B fast twitch glycolytic cells. Now that means glycolytic. That means that they are getting the majority of their energy, the majority of their chemical energy in the form of ATP from glycolytic action. Glycolytic is a very big word for breaking down sugar. Glyco meaning sugar, lytic meaning breaking. Glycolytic. So you are breaking sugar down through glycolysis to make energy. Now glycolysis can happen relatively quickly, not as fast as creatine can break down into, can generate ATP, but much faster than oxidative phosphorylation. And glycolysis is not dependent on oxygen. So you can generate some ATP without oxygen very quickly. And that's what you want for that fast burst energy. Now, like I said, it's not as fast as through phosphocreatine, but it does last a little bit longer than that. So these are the muscles that are most focused on people. Oh, sorry, I said. These are the ones that are most focused on sprinting, on jumping, on lifting weights in the gym. So these are the ones that we're going to be focused on today for gaining strength. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So before we move on to the next section, I wanted to address a couple of the questions because, as you know, if you've ever been to this program, that's how we like to do it. We like to talk a little bit about, stuff, and then I like to answer some questions from chat. So if you have a question about what I've talked about so far, because I threw a lot of big words at you very quickly, throw those in chat, and my moderator will make sure they hit my screen here. So, does drinking water hinder gains or weight loss when exercising? Drinking water would not hinder your gains. However, if you are weighing yourself, the amount of water will determine a certain degree of how much you weigh, because water is actually fairly heavy. It's about 8 pounds a gallon, which you have quite a few of. However, water does not mean your lean mass weight, nor does it mean your fat mass weight. If you are well hydrated and making sure that you are well hydrated every day, then you can use that status to then weigh yourself up and down. But if you are weighing yourself one day when you're super dehydrated and then weighing yourself another day when you've had a ton of water, then that difference in weight isn't really meaningful, is it? Because all you're doing is weighing the difference in the amount of water in your body, not how much mass you've gained or lost. So when it comes to hindering gains, no. And then we'll talk about it a little bit more later, but making sure that you are well hydrated and not dehydrated is actually probably the most specific way to say that. Making sure you are not dehydrated is the best way that you can make sure that your intensity for exercise stays as high as possible. So water's good. Can you have Gatorade during exercise? You sure can. Gatorade loves to advertise the fact that they are giving you all the electrolytes you need to sweat. I'm of the mind that Gatorade has quite a bit of sugar in it, quite a bit of calories. And so if you are just looking for an electrolyte drink, you may be better off making it yourself at home, whether it be with the addition of sodium or potassium and a decreased amount of sugar. But there is something like 200 to 300 calories worth of sugar in a Gatorade when, if you're only working out for an hour, hour and a half, your body already has all those carbohydrates stored up as glycogen in your muscles, and you really don't need to feed your body more carbs during a short workout like that. So it's up to you. Tips for losing weight and improving muscle. We're going to talk about improving muscle as we go on. Oh, there we go. But we're not talking much about losing weight today, besides just make sure that your diet is on point, hit your macros. We have a wonderful macro calculator on Bodybuilding.com, and if you want to just Google macro calculator Bodybuilding.com, that can help you determine what your macros should be. Hitting those macros and working out regularly will be a great way to make sure that you're headed in the right direction. How do muscle fibers regrow? Regrow or grow in general? I would assume that you mean grow, and we're going to get there in just a little bit. Will I lose a lot of muscle if I take a week off from training? A week is not long enough to see super meaningful changes in adaptation. It's just your body does not change homeostasis that quickly. So if you take a week off, I mean, in truth, it might be really just a great way to give your body the rest that it needs to come at your next workout a week later with a ton of energy and a ton of intensity and a really renewed focus. So, as long as you're not taking a week off every other week, a week off probably isn't a terrible idea, and I think you're going to end up being just fine. So thank you for that question, guys. We're going to move on to the next section, and then we'll get a couple more questions after we do this. So, motor units. Raise your hand in the chat if you've ever heard of the term motor units. Motor units are actually units and/or another word would be like groups of motor neurons that are used to innervate certain muscle groups. So, when I want to curl my arm, you can see massive biceps there. Not really. That's okay. When I want to curl my arm, and if I'm doing that with no weight on my hand, it doesn't require a lot of muscle to do this, does it? You don't need to recruit your whole bicep in order to move your arm in a curling motion, do you? You don't. So there's no use in your brain telling your entire muscle to go as hard as it can. That's wasted energy and it's wasted effort, and your body's not in the business of wasting. However, motor units are an all or nothing thing. So it can't tell your muscles to give some of the effort. It either tells your muscles to give all of the effort or none. So how do we solve this problem? We solve this problem by having different muscle fibers being innervated by different motor units. And so if you are just doing a very nice and a very easy movement like this with no weight, your brain is probably only going to send signals to certain motor units that are attached to slow twitch oxidative muscle fibers, because you don't need those fast twitch fibers jerking your muscle into a contracted state. You just don't. However, if I were to pick up, let's use this water jug as an example here, because Lord knows 8, maybe 7.5 pounds now of water is more than 0, even though it's not that much. But if I want to, curl it very quickly, it requires more motor units, and this is a horrible example, and I'm seeing this on camera and it looks terrible, so bear with me. If you are lifting a weight and you are lifting it quickly, you now need to recruit more muscle than you would have if you were just bending your muscle. So that is when your brain starts telling your motor units, we need to activate more muscle if we want to lift more weight. And so when you start your lifting journey, if you are interested in gaining strength and in gaining muscle, interestingly, the immediate gains that you see, and in the first 3 to 4 weeks, usually people start seeing gains in strength very quickly. Those early gains in strength are almost entirely because your body is getting better at recruiting the right motor units in the beginning, from the start. So if you are just getting started on lifting, or you're at the beginning of your muscle building journey, that's another muscle. Oh, it's bending now, good. Then your brain may not be great at deciding which motor units it needs to activate. However, as you practice and as you spend time activating those motor units, your brain is going to get better and better at deciding when to activate which motor units and in what order and at what time and in what sync. And so, interestingly, there's a graph that exists, and I'm thinking about it in my exercise physiology textbook at home. But the increases that you see in strength in the very beginning of your workout journey are actually almost entirely attributed to changes in your body's ability to recruit motor units, which I thought was super interesting. So we do obviously see increases to muscle size, increases to muscle fiber size, there it is, as you continue with your training. But those adaptations don't happen immediately. They don't happen after the first workout or after the second. We don't see meaningful changes in the size of your fibers until, maybe even 5, 6, 8 weeks out from the beginning. But if you are seeing a lot of improvements to strength early, you can tell yourself, cool, I'm already seeing adaptations to how my body uses its own nervous system to make those improvements. Let's see here. Let's see. I think I actually made a second bullet on here. Okay. So, There we go. I'm tracking my bullets on my little outline here. So first, you are increasing the efficiency of recruiting those correct motor units, and then you will see increases in how you use those muscles when you are lifting. All right. Before we move on to the next section, I wanted to talk a little bit about a post that we made on Instagram yesterday. If you guys don't follow our Instagram, make sure you check it out. We have some wonderful people running that, and they're posting some really cool stuff lately. If you haven't seen the Choose Your Character memes, they have been fantastic. But one of the things we posted is a small survey that I wanted to hear from you guys about what you thought. So when you're trying to increase your muscle strength, when you're trying to increase your strength and you're planning out your workout strategy, I put out the survey, or my social team put out the survey, I asked them to. Is it the volume of exercise that increases your strength most? Is it the frequency of your exercise that increases your strength the most? Or is it the intensity of your exercise that increases your strength the most? And so here are the survey results. They're kind of small. I apologize. Let me make them a little bit bigger for you for just a moment. And interestingly, I was surprised at how almost evenly split it was. So we had 508 people say that it was the volume. We had 462 people say it was the frequency, and we had 684 people say it was the intensity. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone who was involved in this survey. We got a ton of people and a ton of feedback on it, and so thank you for being a part of this. Let me preface this by saying that none of those factors will actively hurt your strength. So that's good. However, let me take this off my face. Boom. However, it has been found that the intensity of the exercise, so how heavy you are lifting, as an example, how heavy you lift, is the number one factor in determining how strong your muscles will get over the course of time. And that makes sense logically, right? When we think about what muscle adaptation is, intensity makes the most sense when it comes to determining strength. So let's think about your body from a homeostasis standpoint. When you go to the gym and you are lifting a heavy weight, you are putting a stress on your muscle. And that stress is seen as a bad thing from the inside of your body, right? You're putting it under stress. You're causing damage through micro tears through your muscle tissue. It is overall seen as an injury almost due to the stress and the tension that's being put on your muscles. However, your body has the ability to adapt, and your body responds to that exercise with inflammation and with the intake of amino acids from protein, and it uses that to build more tissue so that your muscles can be built back stronger than they were before, so as to not be injured by that stress again, right? They want to be able to encounter, and I'm talking about your muscles like they're people, but that just makes it easiest. But they want to be able to encounter that stress again in the future without getting hurt. Right? That is how the homeostatic response works. I want to be able to encounter this danger, this stress, this tension again in the future without being hurt. And so in order to do that, I'm going to make those muscles stronger so that they don't get micro tears or damage or anything bad when they face that tension again. So logically, it makes sense that increasing that tension, increasing that weight, tells your muscles that they need to pack on more strength in order to deal with that greater tension. Kind of cool, right? I remember going over these when we were doing our kinesiology stuff in school. And it's like, when you talk about it that way, it makes a lot of logical sense. And there's a lot of strategy to volume of exercise. There's a lot of strategy to frequency of exercise. And that's a whole nother topic for another day. But when it comes to determining strength, intensity is the number one factor. Sluggo says, which are for strength, A or B, and which are for size? I know they are both for size and strength, but if you wanted size or strength, which would you focus? So I assume he's talking about the muscle fiber types that we were talking about earlier. Generally speaking, your fiber type 2Bs are the most focused on strength because they are fast twitch glycolytic. They're able to generate energy quickly, and they are able to get to peak power faster. So type 2Bs will be the most developed in people who are focused on strength training. How much water is safe? This is actually a super good question. We were going to talk about it a little bit more when we get to the hydration, but screw it. We're going to talk about it right now. This is a gallon of water, and I'm a pretty big guy. And even me, a pretty big guy, a gallon of water is a lot to drink. It is a lot of water. Now, why is that an issue? The reason it's an issue is because your body is a beautiful balance of many different chemicals, including electrolytes. I'm sure you guys have heard of electrolytes, so sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, calcium. I think that's the main 5. And the balance of those electrolytes in relation to each other and other chemicals in the body are what determine your ability to send nervous signals, determine the ability to contract your muscles. And interestingly, if you introduce too much water to the system, you have thrown off that chemical balance. So how much water is safe is actually a pretty good question. Now, the answer to that question, unfortunately, is different for everybody because everyone weighs different. Everyone has different amounts of fat tissue. Everyone has different amounts of muscle, different amounts of bone density, different activity of their kidneys. However, it's very difficult to overdose on water. Hyperhydration has happened, but it is very difficult to do. If you are going to drink a gallon of water, I would not try to drink it over the course of a 1.5 hour show. Generally speaking, if you are not exercising regularly, having a half gallon of water throughout the day is almost always 100% safe. If you are working out, your goal should be to replace the volume of fluid that you have lost from your workouts plus some. That way, you are replacing what you have lost via sweat, and then you are also considering what you have lost through breathing and sweating throughout the day. So keep that in mind. Pretending to drink, says Meme73. Get out of here. This is much lower than it was before, I promise you. Gallon's a lot of water. But I heard drinking when you are not thirsty is BS, says Delta. I mean, there's lots of information on the internet about the right time to drink and how much you should be drinking. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule about the exact amount of water to drink. I know when we were growing up and you're watching commercials on Saturday morning, it was always like, drink 8 glasses of water a day. But generally speaking, your goal should be to replace what was lost. And unfortunately, it's very difficult for me to say exactly how much you've lost over the course of a day. Now, interestingly, one really good way to track how much water you should be drinking is to weigh yourself every day. Hopefully around the same time of day, hopefully around if you've excreted, previously, or as long as you're weighing yourself at the same point every day, you should be able to tell how much water you've gained or lost. So if I weigh myself today and then I weigh myself tomorrow and I'm a pound lighter tomorrow, there's almost a 0% chance that I've lost a pound of body mass tomorrow, which means that I've lost a pound of water since yesterday. And so you can weigh out a pound of water is about 1/8 of a gallon, which is about a pint, right? So that means I've lost a pint of water. So making sure that I have a pint of water plus whatever I would normally drink throughout a day is a pretty good way to go. I drink 2 liters of mineral water, at least in an ordinary day with no sport. Is that enough? Should be fine. Like I said, it's more about replacing what you've lost, and tracking that with your body weight is a really good way to do it. How can I get my body to retain more water, says Peril. And we're going away from the muscle stuff right now, but that's okay because we got a ton of really good questions here, so we're just going for it. Interestingly, your body is really good at retaining water, especially when you include a little bit of salt. And that's one of the really great parts about sport drinks. We talked about sport drinks being troubled earlier because of their high amount of sugar in them. But consuming water with a little bit of salt actually allows it to be absorbed just a little bit better due to the osmolality changes. So that helps a lot. Let's see. What's up with the gallon drinking? So for those of you who are just joining us, because we're 24 minutes into the program here, first of all, thank you for being here. My name is Tyler, and today we are celebrating National Hydration Day. I was silly enough to schedule our talk on hydration last week when we were talking about essential amino acids and branched chain amino acids and hydration. And then it came up and I was like, oh, wait, today is National Hydration Day. So we're talking about hydration today also in the context of muscle building. And so as a part of that celebration, every time I say the word muscle, I am drinking from this gallon of water to help build awareness for National Hydration. We have a few more questions, but before we do that, I'm going to talk a little bit, one more touch on building muscle through protein consumption. But I'm going to revert to the experts on this one. I have some friends over at the International Society of Sport Nutrition, and they have done an incredible job of making what's called a position stand on protein consumption and exercise. And a position stand basically is a meta-analysis of all the information that we have on protein consumption and how it relates to exercise. And they came away with a few main points that will help you build muscle with protein consumption. Right? So these are kind of the hard and fast, steadfast rules that if you want to build muscle, there it is again. I got to stop saying it. You should follow these protein intake rules. So number 1, protein helps with muscle building and works best adjacent to exercise, right? So if you want to build that muscle, make sure you are consuming protein, and it works even better if you have that protein adjacent to your exercise. Now, what does adjacent mean? Adjacent means before or after. Have that protein in your body when your body wants to try to build muscle, which is after you exercise. Now, we can talk all day about protein timing and when the best is, and that half-hour window or that 12-hour window, and we're going to address that in just a moment. But having protein in your system adjacent to your exercise is good, and it is important. Whew. I'm starting to heat up from all the water. I don't know why that is. Number 2, 1.4 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, up to 3 grams per kilogram of body weight, is the optimum amount of protein to intake to help build muscle. So let's say that again. In order to build muscle most effectively, over the course of every day, you should shoot to consume 1.4 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, up to 3 grams per kilogram of body weight. So remember, a kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So if you weigh 220 pounds, that's 100 kilograms. The easiest way really to do this is to just take your weight and shoot for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. We've made this recommendation many times on Brain Gainz and through many of our articles. Consuming a gram of protein per pound of body weight is a really safe, easy number to follow. And if you want to go up to 1.5 grams of protein consumed per day per pound of body weight, that is also easy. For our European, for pretty much all of our non-American friends, 1.4 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, up to 3 grams per kilogram of body weight, is a really great number to shoot for when you're trying to decide how much protein you want to consume in a day. When you are consuming your protein, you want to be consuming it over the course of the day. Try not to consume 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight all at once. Your body doesn't like that. It'll have a really difficult time digesting it. Gastrointestinal issues, might be unhappy. Shoot for consuming it in multiple servings throughout the day. Anywhere from 20 to 40 grams at a time is probably your best. And then we've talked about it. Actually, we just talked about it last week. But make sure it has anywhere from 700 to 3,000 milligrams of leucine in it per serving. Remember, whey protein is actually really high in leucine. Animal protein in general is really high in leucine. Unfortunately, leucine is much tougher to get if you are on a plant-based diet. So making sure that you are making that a focus of your protein intake will help you build muscle most effectively. Let's see. And that's it. That's all I got for you. Those are the hard and fast, steady rules. So if you have more questions about protein and muscle building, make sure you post those in chat. Or if you want, and I shouldn't have done this. I should have posted this much earlier. If you have more questions that we're not getting to, make sure you shoot me an email, brain.gainz@bodybuilding.com. I would love to hear from you. I've actually had some really wonderful conversations over the past couple weeks from people who have sent in emails. So if I don't get to your questions here, first of all, I'm sorry. Thank you for being here. Thank you for posting in chat. Thank you for interacting with us. I want to continue this conversation. Do it right here, brain.gainz, bodybuilding.com. Okay. We do have a couple more questions that I can get to before we start wrapping it up, because we are towards the end of our time here. Can we build lean muscle just with bodyweight exercises? Will it be as effective as weights? You can build lean muscle with bodyweight exercises. It's highly dependent on your diet, because you are not going to be able to exercise with quite as much intensity as you would have otherwise, but you absolutely can. Now, remember we talked about earlier, we were talking about this survey here. If you are doing only body weight exercises, it is much more difficult to build muscle if your intensity, i.e. your weight, is low. And so if you're only doing body weight squats or body weight push-ups, it'll be very difficult to get really hulked out. But if you're just trying to lean out and have strong muscle and, have the ability to do push-ups and squats and lift boxes while you're moving and what have you, then yes, you absolutely can do that via bodyweight exercises, but your diet is going to be super important there. So make sure you're not overdoing it on calories. The kitchen comes first there for you. Is it good to stop eating fatty foods completely during weight loss? Fat is an essential nutrient. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but if you are not consuming any fat, your body will wither away and die. So you have to consume some fats as a part of a healthy diet. Just make sure that they are healthy fats. Usually it's easiest to determine which fats are healthy, whether they are liquid at room temperature or not. That determines whether they are saturated or unsaturated. Unsaturated fats are generally liquid at room temperature, so olive oils and canola oils and that kind of stuff. Those are probably a better source of fat for people who are not on ketogenic diets. But if you were to remove fat completely, you're going to have a bad time. Let's see. Is there a good book on the basics, like a 101 cover to cover for everything you mentioned? I unfortunately don't have the names of the books off the top of my head. I love using the textbook for exercise physiology from McArdle and Ketch. That's what we used in school, but then I kept the book because it covers all of it. I mean, all of it. And it is a dense read. It's many hundreds of pages because what we know about exercise physiology is a great deal, and it's super interesting, and a lot of it's super applicable. So the only one I can name right now off the top of my head is McArdle and Ketch, Exercise Physiology. It's a really great place to start. But there are a ton of good books out there. Do your research and good luck. So basically, I've been dehydrated this entire time. Rosa, it's entirely possible. And maybe if you started to drink even more, you may find that you have more energy. You may find that you feel better. You may find more refreshed. Some people find that their skin feels better when they start drinking tons of water just because their skin has so much more to work with and gets a little bit filled out, so that's good. Our previous videos available to watch. Rona, yes, absolutely. We have a playlist on our YouTube channel, and I'm gonna ask my wonderful mod to put a link to that playlist in chat right now, and we can also put it in the description down below. But we have an entire playlist of Brain Gainz episodes where we have covered, wow, a lot of different topics. I think this is episode 36. Something right there. I'm going on to 29. This is episode 29, and we have covered tons of different topics, ranging from protein to weight loss to macros to essential amino acids to everything in between. So yeah, check those out. Can you eat all your daily protein in one meal? Artie, I wouldn't recommend it. I think your tummy would not appreciate it. You can. I wouldn't recommend it. Let's see. We have a couple creatine questions, and I apologize, we're out of time today for creatine. We do have episodes for Brain Gainz that talk specifically about it, and if you want to go back and check on those, you're welcome to. Or if you want to shoot me an email, I'm going to plug this one more time because I love it, brain.gainz@bodybuilding.com. Send me an email there, and I will answer all of your creatine questions so we can get that going there. So before I let you go, guys, I was going to spend time talking about hydration a little bit more, but we just answered so many questions on it. Basically, the gist of it is, guys, drink a ton of water. Make sure you're not losing weight over the course of many days because of lack of water intake. If you lose 2% of your normal body weight in water lost, right? So if you weigh 200 pounds and all of a sudden you're 196 pounds because you've lost 4 pounds, which is 2% of your body weight. If you've lost 2% of your weight in water, you will see meaningful, significant decrements in your ability to perform in the gym. That's just the way it is. You will not be able to lift as much. You will not be able to run as fast. You will not be able to work as hard. So make sure that you are hydrated. It is super important. It is also super important for thermoregulation. Guys, it's hot out there. The sun is hot. It is not raining very much. It is dry and the heat is bad. I know a lot of people are out there practicing for upcoming football seasons right now. Guys, drink a ton of water because your body needs to sweat, and that sweat needs to evaporate so that you can get rid of a lot of the heat inside of your body. Otherwise, bad things happen. So make sure that you are drinking as much water as possible. We don't want to see anything bad out there happen to people just because they weren't consuming something that is so simple. So anyway, before I let you go, guys, I wanted to give a shout out to the YouTube community. We posted a question in our community page. What are your best muscle building tips? We got a ton of feedback. So first of all, thank you everyone for posting on there. What are your best muscle building tips? Sorry, I forgot to drink there. All right. So best tips include focusing on compound exercises first. That's a really good one. So compound exercises are the ones that work multiple muscle groups at once. So squats, bench press, pull downs, things that are working many different muscle groups in a single contraction will activate more muscle groups at once, increase the intensity, increase strength. Great. All right, I didn't get any there. We don't fake it here. All right, consistent hard work, making sure that you're working out in the gym consistently is super important. Isometric holds are really helpful. If you guys are unfamiliar, isometric holds, if you were doing a bicep curl, again, remember we used this before, but doing a half contraction and then holding is a great way to increase time under tension, which is a really great way to increase intensity, which is great. Say no to drugs and ammonia salts. It's never bad advice. Say no to drugs. Kids, don't do them. Eat like an animal and don't even think about excuses. I love it. I think eat like an animal means eat a ton of protein, or you can just eat like an animal out of a bowl. It doesn't matter. It's all good. So thank you, YouTube community, for that. Couple new products on that. Couple products on site that we wanted you to know about. Our Bodybuilding.com signature 100% whey has 2 new flavors, and I believe they're live. They're brand new, but one of them is peanut butter cookie and one of them is chocolate peanut butter. Guys, these are really, really good. The peanut butter cookie tastes just like my mom used to make them. It's insane. So make sure you check out peanut butter cookie, chocolate peanut butter, signature whey. Rivalis Clean Gainer. So we've heard of Gainer products. They contain more calories and usually higher levels of protein, so you can get those calories so your body can grow. Cool. So there's 30 grams of protein, 560 calories, and it comes in Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. Pretty cool. And then Bodybuilding.com has the exclusive 12-pound size. So if you want to buy a bunch, you can only do it here. Rising Labs Mongrel is their whey isolate plus casein protein with 27 grams of protein. And I've been told specifically to call out the fried ice cream flavor. I'm not even sure how you fry ice cream, but they did it, and then they turned it into a protein powder. Make sure you check it out, Rising Labs Mongrel. I should be showing you these SKU images because I did all the work and now I'm not doing any of the fun things. So guys, there's the whey protein right there, just so you recognize what we're doing here. There's the Rivalis. Remember, make sure you check out the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. That's the 12-pound that we have exclusive at Bodybuilding.com. Rising Labs is Mongrel. They always have the very dark, very mysterious labels, but this looks really good. And again, fried ice cream. Doesn't matter how they make it. Tastes very good. All right. Number 4 is MFit. One of the new brands on site. This is their Mass Advantage with 28 grams of protein, but 350 calories. This is a lower calorie mass gainer, but it also makes it easy for you to customize how much you're taking in a given serving, which is great. It also contains creatine. It contains extra BCAAs, glutamine, and also enzymes, and it comes in chocolate and vanilla. Check it out. We have the Muscle Tech Clear Muscle. We didn't talk about it today, but beta-hydroxy beta-methylbutyrate. Beta-hydroxy beta-methyl, yeah, I said it right. Beta-hydroxy beta-methylbutyrate is a metabolite of leucine and has been shown to help those who are already at an elite level increase their strength and muscle efficiency even more. We'll talk about it more on a little bit of a different day. There's a lot of science that goes into this ingredient, but we're excited to share it with you. And it just got rebranded, so it's brand new. Let's see. And then finally, our signature creatine. Guys, it's 80 servings of creatine, 80. For less than $9 right now. It's on sale for 25% off, so it's like $8.69 or something like that for 80 servings of creatine. So if you're looking for monohydrate, that works great. You can't taste it. It mixes into anything. Cool, man. It's great. Finally, we have 2 for $30 on EVL Hydraminos. We have 20% off Caged HydraCharge. We have 25% off the Rule 1 Train BCAAs and Hydration, and up to 35% off all signature products. Like I mentioned, that creatine, it's a screaming deal. So thank you everyone for joining me today. I'm gonna set you off with a little video on our program from Hannah Eden called Fire 2.0. It's a monster program that has 30 days worth of just crazy workouts that you can do at home in 20 to 30, 35-ish minutes. Really low requirements when it comes to gear, but she's amazing motivator and she's really good at yelling at you and making you feel like you need to be doing more. So it's really great motivation, really sets a fire under your butt, so make sure you check it out. I've got a little video for you. I'm going to show as soon as this is over, but to everyone who joined us here, thank you. I hope that you enjoyed me drinking almost a half gallon of water. I'm probably going to go to the bathroom after this. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to be back next month. This is our last one for June, so we'll see you in July. Make sure you look out on our socials for announcements about when the next Brain Gains is going to be. And if you have topics that you want us to cover, make sure you shoot us that information, right? You saw our email, brain.gains@bodybuilding.com, right there. If you want us to cover a certain topic, that would be a great place to start, or we want to hear from you on Instagram and YouTube as well. So please feel free to reach out. We are very open to feedback from the community about this show. So anyway, thank you guys. We'll look forward to seeing you next month. And until then, keep on lifting. We'll see you.
You are capable of so much more than you're aware of. Let me show you how much of a badass you really are. In FYR 2.0, the overall goal is to shed fat as well as building lean muscle.
We want that heart pumping, strength, explosiveness.
We have 5 workouts a week. Each of these will last for 30 minutes.
Oh, I love that feeling! My whole body is shot.
Real-time, follow-along workouts where we'll kick ass together.
Let's go, you at home. We're in it. Believe in yourself. I believe in you. Let's go.
No matter where you're at, we've got something for you.
Got beginner, intermediate, and advanced, all in the same room.
I don't care what weight you use, this is nasty.
Yes, it is. Minimal equipment, anytime, anywhere. Fire 2.0 will light the fire underneath you that you've always needed in order to make a change.
Bring the heat. You know we're here to play.
Unleash that potential. Let's see what you're made of with Fire 2.0.